So hello and welcome along to another edition of Isolation Interviews for Hospital Radio Reading and for my YouTube channel. And I am super excited today because I'm joined by an icon of Neighbours, the amazing Rebekah Elmaloglou. How are you, Rebekah?
Hello, I am so great. This has been a long time coming,
I was going to say it's a
hasn't
weird,
it?
it's a weird one because I've had you on my show before, but only kind of like little snippets with Stefan or whoever. So
Yeah, that's right. It's been we've been trying to tee up this one-on-one for a long time now, but we're finally here and it's happening. And yeah,
it's going to be
it's
exciting.
exciting.
So
Yeah.
exactly, I mean, so much to talk about, and I mean, I wanted to start off by finding out kind of where your interest in acting came from because I mean everyone's got their own story, but for you, kind of where did the love of acting first come from? Do you remember?
Oh gosh. Well, I was 8 years old. I was, very young child. And I absolutely loved The Sound of Music, the film The Sound of Music. And I used to watch over and over and over again. And I, my parents were involved in the local musical theatre, musical society. So, every year they'd do the local musical. And I think one year was The Sound of Music. And I was like, oh, I want to do that. But then the actual big production of it came to town, came to Sydney, and there was a big ad in the Sydney Morning Herald for auditions for the One Track Children. And Mum was like, "Do you think you could do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." She was like, "I'll teach you how to sing Dora Dear." And I was like, "Yeah." And anyway, I auditioned with thousands of other kids, and did lots of recalls and auditions and got the part and did played the role of Marta. And after that, I ended up sort of getting a kids agency and did a few ads, and then started getting actual roles, film and TV roles, and it just kind of went on from there. I was lucky. I worked a lot when I was a child actor.
I mean, obviously, Home and Away was a big part of your sort of your upbringing. Obviously,
Mm,
you've been on Neighbours now as well for 11 years, which that time has
yeah.
flown by. I mean, joining
Mm,
how did joining Neighbours differ to joining Home and Away? Obviously, apart from the age difference, how did they differ?
yeah. Look, I think, the age difference being the main thing, really. I mean, in the sense that, the audition process was exactly the same. Um, the runnings of both shows are so similar. It's not funny. I mean, they're almost identical. Um, I think really, being just, two very different roles into very different shows, but same, but different. Um, uh, you know, 25 or um, maybe not 25, maybe 20 years difference. That's really sort of, or yeah, I think it really is just a time difference. The job was very, very similar working on Home and Away than it is now on Neighbours. Although, again, the age thing, I'm one of the senior cast members. I've got a lot more experience and under my belt than I did back then, definitely. Although I had worked a lot in the industry beforehand, which was quite rare. You know, it's still kind of rare. A lot of the young kids that we get on the show haven't sort of done anything before. But I was lucky enough to have had a bit of experience before Home and Away. So to me, it was just sort of a job. Um, but yeah, I think sort of going into Neighbours was very different. It was to me, it was like a second chance of just good regular ongoing work. I appreciated it a little bit more, quite a lot more. And being a senior cast member, just uh, I wouldn't say taking the youngins under my wing, because I'm probably uh, more naughty than anyone else in that building. But yeah, it's just a very different thing. It's a very different. I think I appreciate the work a lot more than I did. I'm probably a little more professional as well.
I
Oh, I
mean,
don't know. No, I was pretty professional then too.
would you say that you do kind of find yourself giving advice because you've been in that situation, compared to like the youngsters now, you've been in that situation where you've
Yeah,
sort of
I
done it?
certainly. Yeah, look, I certainly keep an eye on. Look, the kids nowadays that work, they're really different to how we were back then. These kids are really, they want to be there. They're excited. They're talented. They're ambitious. You know, most of the time we've got great kids, but I just like to sort of keep an eye on them, make sure that they're they're all kind of going along the right path, the right direction. But as I said, most of them are. We have a great cast. We especially have a great cast now. It's fantastic. I mean, we always have been lucky, but yeah, we're loving our cast that we've got now, and again, talking of second chances, the show got a second chance, and here we are again, and we're really loving it. Really loving it.
Now, if you were to have gone back to 2013 and got a chance to speak to your sort of younger self, would you have been surprised to find out that you were still going to be on Neighbours 11 years later? Did you ever imagine you'd
Oh,
stay on the show?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I first auditioned for it, I was Sydney based, and I had a young son, and we just renovated our place up there, and all my family were up there, and gosh, I mean, I didn't even like Melbourne then, and I was just like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll audition, and we'll see how we go, and if I get it, then we'll think next steps then, and then of course, I did, get the role, and at the time I was like, oh, I could just do a year. I'll just do a year. I couldn't do it any more than a year. And then the contract, when I did get it, was like 3 years. I was like, oh, okay. Well, maybe I'll commute, and because a lot of some people have commuted in the past. And then my husband was like at the last minute, like, nah, we're all moving down, or we're all sticking together. Which, oh my God, thank God we did. I couldn't have commuted even for a month. But I would never have guessed that I'd still be here, calling Melbourne home, which it is now. All my family have actually moved out of Sydney. So Sydney's not even home anymore. They've all moved up to the mid-coast, New South Wales, and a divine town mid-coast. So, Sydney isn't even home now, and Melbourne's home, and we've been here for, 13, oh gosh, I mean 13, 14 years now, and it's flown by really quickly though, Matthew. Like, as you said, like, it's just really flown by. But I've loved it, and I've loved the job, and grateful, so grateful. Pinch myself every day. How many actresses, in Australia get to work full time on a show that's on a job that they really love, and I get to support my family, and it's a great job.
And obviously, over the years, you came as part of the Willis family. Over the years, various members of the Willis family have gone. You are now the only Willis
Mm. I
left.
know, I
Well,
know.
is
And
there?
somebody said on social media, she never talks about her old family. It's like,
But
which is kind of true.
but or was there ever a time when maybe one of them said they were going to leave, and you were thinking, oh, maybe I should go as well, or was it always just you were
No.
happy for them, but no, I'm staying?
Oh yeah. Oh God, no. Yeah, I was. Oh, a year or two in, I was. This is good. I'm staying. They're gonna have to carry me out in a box. I'm with the oldies now. I'm with Jax and Fletch and Stefan, and where I'm there until the show sort of dies, pretty much. I think I had a sort of a feeling of what it's like to be out there when the show ended and when we got picked up again. There wasn't a lot of work. I moved up to the mid coast and had a beautiful time. Got to spend a lot of time with my father, who was in a nursing home. Who's now since passed away, sadly. But I loved it. I loved every minute of it. But I had one audition, and so I know, being my age, and even the youngins, there's not a lot of work out there at the moment. So I'm happy to stay put where I am, definitely.
Now,
Yeah.
obviously, one of the things we have to talk about, and this was one thing that I had a lot from other fans who when I said I was interviewing you, is of course the storyline of Praise, Paul and Terese. People love
Mm,
them. Obviously, we've now
yes.
seen, and we'll talk a bit more about, working with Ryan and all that in a minute. But now
Yes,
that
yes.
we've seen Toadie and Therese have officially separated, or
Mm.
will be separating, would you like to see Therese and Paul get back together in the future?
Um, yes, 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 of course, of course. But I also, and I think this is where the producers and the writers also, I mean, look, it's always the end game with Therese and Paul. Let's face it. But we still need the drama. They can't just sort of live happily ever after, and that's not a Therese Paul thing anyway. And yes, look, of course, I want them back together. But at the same time, I still wouldn't mind, maybe Therese having a, fling with somebody else, or I don't know. Um, but look, Endgame is always Therese and Paul. Um, and, I love working with Stefan. I had a wonderful time working with Brian as well. It was lovely, amazing, different. Even though I've had a chance to work with quite a few actors um, over the years, I really enjoyed working with Brian. And Stefan and I, sorry, calling him by his nickname. Stefan and I, we're so close, and we, work very easily with each other. And we're just two idiots, really, Stefan and I. we just have fun. In fact, we probably have too much fun. I think when we step on set, everyone's like, "Uh-oh, here they come." Oh, overtime. But we can do Therese and Paul scenes underwater. It's so easy for us, and we work in a very similar way. Stefan and I, we work completely on instincts. We don't think about it, and we just kind of do it very naturally. And I think soap acting is very much like that. It's working on instinct. I don't overthink anything. A lot of the kids come in and they've got hundreds of notes, and they've all been through acting school, and they've all been taught to analyze the scene and analyze, whereas I'm completely the opposite. I think that just comes with experience, though. I just really work off instinct, and Stefan's the same. So we really don't sort of overthink it. It probably shows sometimes. But we have a lot of fun. We have too much fun.
And I
But
mean,
hey.
now I was going to also say, because obviously, when the show came back, obviously Therese was put with Toadie. We've all been watching that drama unfold over the last year. I mean, is it odd when you're paired with someone? Because I don't think you two really had anything to do with each other up until that point.
Hardly anything.
So, I mean, what was that
Hardly
like?
anything. It was so weird. So I it was really bizarre. So I was at the time living up in New South Wales, and they wanted to fly me down for some meetings and costume fittings and so forth. And my first meeting of the morning was with Jason Herberson and Andrew Thompson, our producers, and they were like, "Okay, so the big opening episode is going to be this, where you're walking down the line, and I'm like, oh yes, with Paul, Therese and Paul, and then you get to the altar, and then you turn around, and it's Toadie, Therese and Paul, and I was just like, oh my God. And Jason was like, that is exactly why we flew you down, because we wanted to see your face in person. And I was completely shocked. It really came out of left field. Really out of left field. But I was like, oh, okay. And then they were like, okay, and off you go now. You've got a wedding dress fitting. And I was just like, what? So it was really, it was so random. But I was like, okay, yeah. I mean, look, I was up for anything, really. I was just so grateful that the show was back, and that that we were back and we were doing it. I didn't care. I could have been marrying, the Labrador, the old Labrador. What was the Labrador's name back in the
Oh,
day?
Rolly. No, not Rolly.
What is it?
Bouncer, Bouncer.
Bouncer. Yeah, I could have been marrying anyone. I wouldn't have cared. I was just so thrilled to be back and moving back to Melbourne. The show was back on, and it's like woo. But yeah, it really sort of sunk in when the script started coming in, and getting on the set and working with Ryan, and I was like, oh shit, this is actually really happening. This is like, but we had such a great time, and it was, I felt quite challenged too. Breaking out of a habit, out of working with somebody who, like Stefan, it was a lovely challenge to work with Ryan, for me, because Ryan is again like another different style of working. So it was, yeah, we had a lot of fun. And it challenged me, and I think he enjoyed it. I hope he enjoyed it. I don't know. I think he did. But yeah, it was very different. But yeah, when they first told me, I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy, but I love it. And yeah.
So, I mean, how did you react when you found out that obviously Ryan was, stepping away from the character of Toadie, and that,
Yeah.
the characters were going to be breaking up? Because did you imagine this was going to be a sort of a longer term thing, or were you always aware that it was only going to be a year?
Yeah, no, I think we knew that it wasn't going to last. Um, I was kind of hoping that it was going to sort of last a little longer. Um, but you know, um, things happen, and it was just the way the storylines were plotted, and Ryan sort of, finishing up his contract. It was just the way it kind of just happened. I would have liked it to have gone a little longer. I think there was probably a lot more that we could have explored with Terese and Toadie, but I think in the end it made sense that it just didn't sit right for him marrying Terese, and that his history of past relationships and marriages and so forth. um, it kind of, yeah, yeah. I don't know how the audience feel about it. I haven't really sort of been reading any social media or anything about it, so I don't know. I don't even know what's really on air at the moment, so I don't want to say too much or not. But yeah,
I mean, obviously, we don't know how Ryan leaves, and we're not going to do spoilers, so don't worry, we won't, sort of spoil
yeah,
that for anyone. But I mean,
yeah.
for yourself, obviously, going forward, I imagine you're going to get to work more with the kids, obviously, who are fantastic. I had Aisha on the show a few weeks back.
I heard. Isn't
Um,
she divine?
she's fantastic,
She's
and she's so mature
she's
for her age.
amazing.
I was so impressed. I
Oh,
mean, you must love working
I
with them.
know. Oh, look, I have been blessed with all the kids that I've gotten on the show. The first three, um, and then Olympia, and then Rocks. I've had quite a few extra kids. Ben Hall, who played Ned. I've had a lot of extras, extra kids move in with me. I have been really blessed, and I've gone along with all of them really, really well. And I was a little bit apprehensive, going, oh my God, okay, so, I'm now working with kids again. Like I'm working with kids and dogs, and, no, I'm not working with any dogs, but just, I was a little bit sort of nervous about it because, you know, your whole behavior on a set obviously has to be very different, even though I'm well behaved already. But I was a bit nervous about it. But the two kids, Aisha and Tanner, have been absolutely wonderful, wonderful to work with. And I have to say, Ryan is amazing with the kids. He was great with the two little ones who played the kids when they were younger. So amazing. And Eve, who played Sonia, was so good with the kids. And Ryan with these two, Aisha and Tanner, were just from the get go, just amazing with them, and patient and really good with the kids. Whereas I'm good with kids, but I'm like, come on, let's get the job done, you know. But I really loved working with them, and Aisha is amazing. She's really gorgeous girl. So I'm very lucky that I've had the opportunity to work with them.
Now, obviously, you mentioned Eve because she still works on Neighbours. A lot of people may not know this. She works sort of behind the scenes. So was it
Mm.
weird? Was it weird marrying Toadie with Sonia there?
Oh, nah, not really. It's sort of I think yeah, no, it's probably a bit weird. Yeah, look, yeah, it's look a lot of people who have left the show, like I turned around the other day and Ryan walked past me while I was on set. I was like, oh hi, it's Neighbours is the sort of place that you leave, but you always come back. So having somebody walking down the corridor that's a past cast member or past crew member is not unusual. So it didn't feel weird at all.
I mean, obviously, Kate Kendall as well is doing amazing work as a
Yeah,
producer on the show.
and
Um,
Scott
sh
Major.
Scott Major, so many people that
Yeah,
have sort of taken the leap to behind the camera. Is that
yes.
something you would ever be interested in, or do you love just playing trays and being where you are?
I've actually made jokes that I was going to be a director's attachment once to all the crew, and I think everyone almost sort of like vomited in their own mouths. I would never do that to anyone. No, look, I don't know. No, I I'm quite happy in front of the camera for the moment. Look, I have done, a bit of I've produced short films and I've done a bit of crewing and stuff, but I don't think no one would take me seriously, to be honest, Matthew. If I was to come back as a director, no one would listen to me. No one would take direction. No one would do as I say. It would just be a complete and utter disaster. But I could be a first. I've got a loud voice, so I could be a great first. I'm quite bossy, and I've got a loud voice. So being a first assistant director, I could be. So who knows? Watch this space.
Now, obviously, a wealth of characters have, graced the screens. Who would you love if you had the choice and you could bring some people back? Who would you love to see back on the show?
Oh gosh. Oh. Um. Oh, I don't know. People that I've worked with, like worked with in my time that have left.
I imagine
Oh,
you'd love to get Mavani back.
yeah, the kids. I'd love to have all the kids back. And Olympia's character, Paige, she was fun. And Ned, I love Ned. Lauren, I'd love to have Kate Kendall back as my friend Lauren. Well, she wasn't really my friend. She ended up taking off with my husband. But yeah, I think you know what? It's probably not so much characters. It's probably more friends, actors who play the characters that I want back. But I've been so blessed. I've been so lucky to have worked with so many amazing people on the show. It's incredible. How many people are wanting to have roles on the show. To back in the day, like when I was on Home and Away, there was a bit of a stigma around doing soap. With a lot of my drama, film and television theatre friends, film and theatre friends. Whereas now, oh my god, they do it in a blink. So we get a lot of wonderful, amazing actors, and I've met so many amazing people working on the show, and crew. We get amazing crew too. So we're very blessed. Yeah,
Now, one of the
but
questions
yeah, probably
I was going to say,
probably it'd be more about the actors coming back.
now I was going to say one of the questions I love to ask people, and I think it's a great question, is if you were to meet Terese in real life, do you think you would get on with Terese?
We're so different. It's not funny. So different. No, no, I'd probably think she's a bit. She does have a fun side though. She does have a fun side, which because I'm more fun. I'm a party girl, fun, crazy, loud, obnoxious, class clown. Um, you know, um, yeah. Uh, Look, maybe when Therese was a bit younger, I think. You know, back when she was a bit wilder, maybe because I'm a bit wild. So maybe when Terese was a bit wilder and younger. Yeah, yeah.
Now,
Now I don't know.
I was going to say, obviously, next year is a big year for Neighbours. The show reaches 40. You must be
Yes.
so excited to be coming to the UK as part of the Neighbours tour. I mean, first of all,
Mm.
what was the reaction like from the cast that did the first show? They must have given you so much sort of great sort of thoughts and memories from the show. You must have been so excited about doing it yourself.
Yeah. Oh, look, they had an amazing time. Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, no, I'm really excited. It's going to be really exciting. I just booked my flights actually the other day. My husband's going to be coming with me. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I really enjoy getting in front of a crowd that really want you to be there and are really interested and want to hear what you have to say. And I'm so excited to meet all our viewers because it's really hard, Matthew, and I've sort of been talking about it a little bit in the last few days. It's really hard working on a show where there are so many incredible people, cast, crew, production, working on this show. Like we're talking hundreds of really intelligent, really smart, really talented, really professional, experienced, people working on this little show. We all put our hearts and souls into it. It's really hard when because Australia, it's not really big in Australia. I mean, we've still got a lot of viewers in Australia, but we don't get any sort of real acknowledgement, unfortunately, from our peers here in Australia, which is really disappointing. Really, really disappointing. Um, so we're pretty much basically making the show now for all our overseas viewers, which is wonderful, but unless you're on social media, you really um, got no kind of idea. Like, there's no sort of real feedback. I mean, sure, if you read all the social media stuff, but if you don't, there's no. I'm not saying that we don't get any acknowledgement, but it's just really hard when you're making a show for people that you're not kind of meeting and getting out there, and So I'm looking forward to that aspect of the tour. Getting out there and meeting people who really love the show and really are interested in you and your character and your storylines and all that sort of thing. So I'm really excited about that. But yeah, the others have given us lots of tips, hot tips, and all sorts of yeah, great information and stuff to help us get through the winter in UK, which I've done many a time before, but it's going to be interesting.
And it must be great as well, because not just in the UK, but obviously now the show's got a following in America, which I don't think has ever been the case before through Amazon. So
Yeah,
that must be amazing for you guys.
yeah,
And the Emmy
yeah.
nominations that you got must have been fantastic as well.
Yeah, yeah. Look, that was. I mean, look. Hey, screw you, Australia. We've got our Emmy nominations. So that's really, I mean, that's so exciting. And hopefully next year we'll get more nominations. I know our producers are certainly sort of, heading down that road as far as making sure that happens. Um, so yeah, so that's so exciting. Yeah, really exciting.
And of course,
Um,
you as well. You're nominated for an Inside Soap Award. Yourself,
yes,
Ryan, Magella,
yeah,
and
and
Matthew Wilson.
Magella. Yes, yeah, I know it's really exciting. And well, and Tim and I and Georgie actually went to the awards last year when we were in the UK launching the show. So that was really exciting. So yeah, who knows what will happen?
We've got our
I don't
fingers
know.
crossed for you guys because you need to win this.
Yes, yeah, thank you. No, it'd be really exciting. Be really
Now,
exciting.
Now, obviously, as well, we won't give any spoilers away for the 40th. But what would you love to see happen for the 40th? What would you like to see Terese get up to?
Oh, somebody said a baby. And I'm like, do you have any idea how old I am and how many children I've already had? Like, I think not. So no, no babies. Oh, yeah, for Trey, well, not another wedding. Oh, couldn't have another wedding. Although, you never know. Um,
I mean, would you like to
I'm
see
not
Teresa's brother or mother
sure.
come back?
Yes, or father.
Oh, yes, we've never
Father
met the
could be
father.
interesting. Mm. In fact, I think did I hear a little whisper that they would like to bring the dad back? Yeah, who knows? Not back, but bring in the dad. Maria Mercedes, who played my mother, was hysterical, so she'd be fabulous to come back. And yeah, yeah. Gosh, there could be so many. I've always pitched that that Terese was actually a twin, an identical twin. But then the whole
Yeah.
that whole storyline came in and ruined my plans. So that's not going to happen. But I pitched it. I pitched it a few times actually. I don't know. I haven't really sort of thought that far ahead, actually, to be honest. But I know that they've got a lot of big plans for the 40th. So we'll see.
It's very exciting. We're all looking forward to finding out what happens going forward.
Yeah,
I mean, I suppose
yeah.
just before we wrap up, I mean, obviously Therese is the only person that's married both the Ramsey Street what would you call them? Six wives or plus group, obviously
Yes.
with Paul and with Toadie. Do you think she'll maybe have a bit of a break from men for a little while? Do you think she's maybe had enough of marriage for a little while?
Well, yeah. I think she needs to go and sort of sow some oats, don't you? Is that the saying?
Yeah.
Sow her seeds. No, sow her oats. Sow some oats. Yeah, sow some oats. I think so. I think so. Yeah, I think it'd be a little too soon for Therese and Paul. But again, can't say too much. Don't know. Um, but yeah, there'll always be a drama, won't there? So we'll see. We'll see.
Now, I just want to say, Rebecca, it's been an absolute pleasure. You are welcome back anytime. Loved speaking to you
Oh,
today.
oh, thank you. No, well, thanks for having me. And I'm so sorry again that it's taken so long to get it together.
And I mean,
It's just
people need to keep watching Neighbours, of course. It's here in the UK, Monday to
yes,
Thursday, drops at 7 a.m.
yes.
on Amazon Freevee. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Oh, absolute pleasure, Matthew. Thank you so much.